The apartment was old. Its age was evident in the creaking floorboards and the musty smell that clung to the air. But it was cheap, and that was all that mattered to me at the time. I was a struggling writer, new to the city and desperate for a place of my own. The landlord, a gaunt man with evasive eyes, seemed eager to have me as a tenant. He barely asked any questions, only too happy to hand over the keys with a toothy grin. I dismissed his eagerness as desperation to fill the flat. Little did I know, a chill had already settled into my bones, a premonition of the unsettling experience that awaited me. The first few days were uneventful. I busied myself with unpacking and setting up my writing space. The apartment was sparsely furnished, with only the bare essentials. But it was quiet, or so I thought, and the solitude was a welcome change from the hustle and bustle of city life. I felt a sense of peace settle over me as I sat down to write, the gentle hum of the old refrigerator, the only sound breaking the silence. In those initial moments of creative immersion, I forgot all about the landlord's strange demeanor and the inherent eeriness of the old building. I was home, or so I believed. One evening, as I sat reading, my gaze fell upon something peculiar. It was a faint outline on the wall, barely perceptible at first. I put down my book and moved closer, my curiosity piqued. The outline was of a door that wasn't there. It was as if someone had taken a giant eraser to the wall, leaving behind a ghostly impression of what once stood there. I ran my fingers over the surface, feeling for any irregularities, any sign of a door that had been bricked up. But the wall was smooth, unbroken. The door, or rather the ghost of it, was nothing more than a discoloration in the paint, a trick of the light, perhaps. I tried to dismiss it, to convince myself it was nothing more than my imagination playing tricks on me. The human mind, I reasoned, is a master at creating patterns, at seeing things that aren't there. But deep down a seed of unease had been sown. The outline was too precise, too symmetrical to be a mere coincidence. It was as if the room itself was trying to reveal a secret it had guarded for years. The silence of the apartment, once a source of comfort, now felt oppressive. It was as if the very walls were listening, watching my every move. I started noticing things I hadn't before. The way the floorboards creaked even when I was standing still. The way the draft seemed to move through the apartment as if propelled by an unseen hand. And then there were the sounds. Soft at first, barely audible whispers that seemed to emanate from the wall with the faint door outline. I would strain to listen, my heart pounding in my chest, but the sounds would vanish as quickly as they had come. I told myself it was the pipes or rats in the walls. But deep down, I knew better. There was something else in that apartment with me. Something unseen, unheard, but ever-present. The scratching started a few days later. It was a faint sound, like claws scraping against wood. It always began at night after I had turned off the lights. It was always coming from the other side of the wall, just behind the faint outline of the door. I finally broke down and told the landlord about the strange noises. He listened patiently, a flicker of amusement in his eyes. "Old buildings, you know," he said with a shrug. "They settle, make noises." I wanted to believe him, I really did. But there was something in his tone, a knowing smirk that set my teeth on edge. It was as if he knew more than he was letting on, as if he had heard the sounds himself and knew exactly what, or rather what, was causing them. I pressed him further, asking if there had been any previous tenants who had complained of similar experiences. He hesitated for a moment, his gaze shifting away from mine. No, he said a little too quickly. "Nothing like that. You're the first one to mention anything strange." His words did little to reassure me. In fact, they only served to deepen my sense of unease. There was something he wasn't telling me, something he was desperate to keep hidden. Sleep offered no escape. My dreams became haunted by images of the door. It was always closed, but I could feel something on the other side, something dark and malevolent. I would wake up in a cold sweat, my heart racing, the feeling of dread clinging to me like a shroud. In my dreams, the faint outline would glow with an eerie light. It pulsed with an energy that seemed to call out to me, beckoning me closer. I would reach out, my hand trembling, and then the door would creak open. I would catch a glimpse of what lay beyond, a swirling vortex of shadows and whispers, and then I would wake up. But the dream felt all too real. The oppressive atmosphere of the room, the sense of being watched, it all lingered long after I had opened my eyes. The line between dreams and reality began to blur, and I found myself questioning my own sanity. One night I woke to the sound of scratching. It was louder than before, more insistent. I lay in bed, paralyzed with fear as the sound seemed to surround me. Then I saw it. The wall was moving. The faint outline of the door was no longer so faint. It pulsed with an eerie light, and I could see the distinct outline of a door handle. Slowly turning, I watched in horror as the door creaked open, revealing an abyss of swirling darkness. A cold wind rushed into the room, carrying with it the sound of whispers and moans. I could feel something beckoning me towards the open door, urging me to step across the threshold and into the unknown. My mind screamed at me to run, to escape the madness that was unfolding before my eyes, and so I did the only thing I could think of. I ran. I didn't stop to pack a bag. I didn't even bother to grab my coat. I just ran, fleeing from the apartment as if the hounds of hell were at my heels. I could hear the scratching sounds behind me, growing louder, closer. I didn't dare look back. I didn't need to. I could feel the icy breath of the unknown on my neck, hear the whispers swirling around me. I burst out of the building and into the night, the cool air stinging my lungs. I didn't stop running until I reached the bright lights and relative safety of a 24-hour diner. I stumbled inside, my chest heaving, my clothes damp with sweat. The other patrons looked up from their meals, their faces a mixture of curiosity and concern. I must have looked a sight, hair disheveled, eyes wide with terror, but I didn't care. I was safe, or at least that's what I told myself. I never went back to the apartment. I left everything behind. It wasn't worth the risk. I found a new place to live, a small but bright studio apartment on the top floor of a modern building. It was nothing special, but it was safe. There were no strange noises, no faint outlines of doors on the walls, just the comforting hum of traffic and the distant sound of sirens. I tried to forget about my experience in that old building. I tried to convince myself it was all in my head, a product of stress and an overactive imagination, but deep down I knew the truth. There was something in that apartment, something sinister and unknowable, and it was still out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for its next victim. I still think about that door sometimes, especially at night when the shadows grow long and the wind howls outside my window. I can still feel the chill down my spine, hear the scratching sounds in my nightmares. I see that faint outline in every darkened corner, every blank wall I pass. I know now that some doors are not meant to be opened, that some mysteries are best left unsolved. And as I sit here now in the supposed safety of my new home, I can't shake the feeling that I am not alone. That somewhere just beyond the veil of reality, that door is still open and something is waiting for me on the other side.